Bill, you want to get us started off?
Yes, so we have the superintendent here to brief you on the school budget proposal.
All right.
Good evening, everybody. I hope this mic is working.
It is. We can hear you.
That's good. I'm going to work off the three sheets that we used in the last city finance, school finance meeting, and I believe Bill tells me you've all been handed those three sheets. So one of them is what we call the summary expense. And it's marked first draft 4723. And that breaks down our budget by cost center. So you can see the first cost center that we look at is special services. You can follow that line across. It shows you multiple years of where that budget has been. And the third column in from the right is this year's proposed budget of $6,600,778.21. That's a difference of $655,224.27, and it's an 11.02% increase. So depending on where your interest is, you can follow individual cost centers. For instance, George Mitchell School is a cost center. So if you want to know what it costs us to run the Mitchell School for a year, you can follow those years across until you get to the 23-24 column, and we're proposing a budget there of $3,879,683.70. That's a $56,987.63 increase, or a 1.49. So almost opposite of what you saw in special ed. They're really holding the line well. You're going to notice a big increase in ELL, which is English language learners. I'm sure you're aware that we're getting more and more refugees coming into the city, and we have to gear up by federal and state law to provide services for those students, which we gladly do so. We're really proud of the diversity that we're bringing into the school system. It's a great addition for not only those students who want an education, but for our students to learn other cultures. So we do propose, and this is the only new position, by the way, that we are proposing for next year in this budget, is another ELL teacher. We have been told to expect about 60 more refugees between now and the start of school next September. And we have 2 ELL teachers right now, so we're asking to expand that to 3 to handle that load. And we're not sure whether that's going to be able to do it, actually. And then you can go down and you can see the total cost of our budget, $30,273,098.07. That's a $1,835,720.41 increase. Now, I want you to hold that figure in your head for a minute, that $1,835,000, which is what our budget's going up, and then go over to the summary revenue page. It's the one that looks like this. And that is a list, again by years, of all of the revenues that the school draws in from whatever source. So you can see the first group are state subsidies, and then that second grouping are school revenues. In other words, monies that we generate by virtue of what we do. Then there's a short section on what are we using for carryover to help support this budget. Then we have shared program revenues. So for instance, if we had an adult ed director that worked part-time for Oakland, we would have some shared revenues. They would buy the services. And then we have adult education costs. Then we get the total state and school revenues. But the number I want you to concentrate is that number in the lower right-hand box. Lower right-hand side, the one that says 963, 862, 66. That's the number that we're asking for an additional increase in local taxes. So back to the first page, our budget's up $1,835,720.41, and we're asking for roughly half of that. So we've covered half of our increase with our school revenues, our state revenues, and we realize that's a lot of money, but I want to take you back a year ago when we sat here and we talked about I think at the time we were in the process of settling the teacher's contract. And we said then, we aren't able to hire the best and the brightest. As a matter of fact, I was telling the board that I was down sometimes to the third choice of our search committees because of the salaries, and that we had to do something serious if we wanted to have our teachers not necessarily at the high end for this area, but at least average or above average. And you supported that, the board supported that. The teachers are very happy with that. We're in the second year now of that 3-year contract. There's some serious raises there, as well there should be, given the climate that we're in right now. I read the newspaper. I see you're up against it as well with all of your employees. Problem with us is that we have, and it depends, I haven't checked what your number of employees are, but we have 3 to 3.5 times more employees. We're running just shy of 400 employees. It used to be the city was in the 120 range, 125 range. I don't know where you are this year. So
You're not at 400.
Okay. So you've added a few. The real cost of these budgets for schools, unlike the city where you have construction projects and streets and that, is personnel. 83%, roughly 83% of our total budget is personnel. It's a wonder. Sometimes I look at it as, how does 17% cost, how does that cover the diesel we have to buy, the gasoline, the oil, the electricity, all the things it takes, as you know, to run a building? Sometimes I'm just amazed that it's only 17% of our real budget. And then I want to show you where those costs came from, thanks to Paula, who put all this work together for us. And that's this sheet, where we tried to highlight for you where the biggest increases are. Obviously, salary and benefits. Out of the 1.835, 1.609 are salary and benefits. The other one that jumps out probably is tuition. And that's because we're hiring so many either uncertified or very young teachers. Like you, with your emergency EMTs, police officers, other skilled positions, there aren't many people out there that are certified in particular areas. We're finding the same thing with teachers. Try to find a math teacher. Try to find a life science teacher. It's very, very difficult. And sometimes you have to accept what the best you got, even though it's not really what you wanted. And it can be a little bit frustrating. So what's ended up happening, we're taking chances on new staff, new teachers coming out of college, hoping that we can grow them into the type of teacher that we want them to be. But what happens is you'll see your salaries decrease a little bit when you're in that trend, but you'll see your tuition reimbursement, which is part of their benefit package, go up because they immediately starting a master's program, CAS program, second master's program. Some of them look on the horizon and say, well, gee, I know there's a shortage in this area. I should get myself certified in that area. As a matter of fact, we've got a veteran teacher who just asked for a transfer into ESOL, ELL, English Language Learners, A, because she really likes working with those children, but B, because she saw the need and said, I'll be employed in the state of Maine for a long time if I can get that certification. So we're very happy about that, but that means we lose a quality teacher at the school that she's transferring from as well. That principal's not happy, but the principal where she's going is. And so we got a lot of that moving on. I remember when I first started teaching, which was math, the principal came to one of the last, I think it was the last meeting we had in June, and said, we're going to need a computer science teacher next year. I need someone to get trained this summer. I immediately jumped, said, I'll do it, because I saw where computer science was going in this state, and that's job security. You get certified in a different area, then you can help out in math. You can also start a computer science program. back then, computer science, I think everybody thought everybody's going to be a programmer. And so I taught Pascal and computer languages, COBOL. I shouldn't say nobody, but that's not really where the computer science is today. The 4-year program that we piloted at Waterville High School, luckily from a grant from the Harold Alphon Foundation, is in its 4th year right now, and that's geared towards giving students, as they graduate, job skills to be employed. Because we're recognized right up front, you might have the ability to go to college, but you don't have the money and you don't have the support to go there. But if we get you a job, in today's society, we're seeing it almost every day, they're providing education on the job. They're spending money to get you to go get another sort of credential that supports their business. And that's the goal there. To the point where, and you probably heard me mention this before, one of the things that we thought of after the fact was, well, okay, we got all these kids coming out with employable job skills, but how do they get anywhere but walk around Waterville? Are they able to take a job in Bangor or Augusta or Skowhegan or in even just the central Maine area? So we started Driver Ed. And I'm very pleased to say that we run close to 120 kids a year through driver education at no cost. So, and that's during the school day. It's part of their curriculum. So that's kind of a long blab about the school budget. I'll be glad, and I've got other critical thinkers here to help answer questions.
So you're only looking for one new position this year?
One new position. Now, we've got some that we got to fill that people have left us, but one new position.
Can I ask why you have no school resource officers?
Why we don't?
Yeah.
Because the board decided that the potential harm that having a policeman in the school did to the ELL students who came from war-torn places, they were frightened of seeing, it's a different culture. And I'm really happy with what the police department has done with the community outreach worker, because that fills the loss we experienced when we lost the school resource officer, but it's without the belt and it's without the uniform and some of the other things that police officers do. And the person you hired has worked with us already and then been instrumental in several of our more severe, unstable situations. So I'm really happy with that.
Do you think that one position is enough?
I don't know. A quick answer to that is no, I don't think it is, Jay. We could use at least another full-time person. When I came to Waterville in 1985 as the assistant principal, you had 2 adolescent police officers. That's all they dealt with adolescents. They met with me once a week. We reviewed attendance of every kid that was on probation. And if the kid wasn't doing what they were supposed to be, I called them down to the office. They either took them for a week stay somewhere or they read them the Riot Act. But it was a different culture. 85 was a whole different culture. There were 1,150 students in that high school.
So, I'm just curious if, obviously, in putting this budget together, you've been thinking about this issue of school safety. I'm just wondering if there have been conversations about what would be most effective for the school district. Is it a resource officer or is it some other kind of position?
Sure.
So, as I'm Pam Turnwood, I'm chairman of the board.
Sorry, Pam. We're gonna get you up there.
Mayor, there's a question from the public when you're
Okay.
ready.
You can bring them in if you want.
So, Pam Turnwood, chairman of the board. So, to be honest with you, we have obviously had many conversations about school safety, as everyone is. Waterville has a tremendous police department, which we have a great relationship with. It's not so big a city that we don't feel like we wouldn't get the help and support we need whenever we need it. If we call them for anything at all, they're there, and they it's not that we haven't had a great relationship with the police department. We do. So that's not an issue. We don't have any new positions in this budget. We have one ELL position, which we have to have. If we have any other positions, it's in special ed, which we have to have. There are some positions we have no choices on. Yeah. There are at least 9 positions that would have come before the board if we felt that the city of Waterville had more money to put in this budget, which you don't. So no. I'm going to be honest with you. We were as frugal and as careful as we could possibly be. We're coming to you with a bare bones budget as much as we could, and we only put in what we absolutely had to. And if we were going to put in new positions, the safety positions aren't the first ones on the list. Because Waterville has a great police department. We don't have any problems whatsoever that they don't deal with immediately. And we've had a couple this year, so we all know. And they're there when we need them, and they can be there as quickly as anyone. And there's no proof that having some kind of a police presence in the school changes that. I mean, we don't feel like it's not at the top of the list. There's a list of at least 9 positions that did not make this budget. So it's a bare bones budget, no new positions. We're not asking for anything. I mean, you can see we're covering the cost of the raises we gave them, and then we're covering the increases in essentials that you have to have, fuel, electricity, all of those things. And we did the best we could on the budget. But there's no new positions, and we don't think you're in a position to fund them. So we're going to be upfront and honest about it and tell you the truth.
We appreciate that.
Yeah.
And we want our teachers to get paid.
We needed to do that. You guys know we needed to do that. We did it, and it's made an enormous difference. I think Eric would tell you that we are now we've had to replace some senior teachers leaving, and we are now getting our first and second choice, and we feel really good about it because our experience in Waterville, the one great thing I can tell you about Waterville teachers and Waterville Public Schools, when the teachers come, they stay. So if you get the good teachers to begin with, they stay. And it's a wonderful thing. People love Waterville. They love the school. They love working for us. They've been very happy there. So we're not losing teachers. We just couldn't attract the best, and we want to. So.
We want you to.
What are the 9 positions?
Well, there are different positions in the schools, different teaching positions, different programming. Programming that teachers, the administration in each building would like to have seen that the board said, not this year. I mean, I don't think you guys want to fund, do you?
I'll tell you what, Mike, when we
Happy
keep
to bring
talking
them
to
to
the school finance committee, we'll investigate and we'll see what we can do next year in terms of getting them up to where they really would like to be.
Thank you. Love that.
There is support in the city. If we don't know what positions you're looking for, we can't look to the future.
So the one thing we did do in the finance committee, and we'll do that again also, I'm glad to hear that you guys are interested in that, is we talked about the bonding and what the future, we did have this finance committee meeting, and we did share with them what our future building needs are and where we are in our bonding and what we're going to be looking towards in the future. So we can also include at our next finance committee meeting, places of growth in the community for different positions. So I thank you. We'd love to do that. We'd be thrilled.
Thank you, Pam.
Let me draw everyone's attention to a couple of numbers that I think are significant. The first one is the total amount of state aid, which I believe is a little over $18 million on the first page of your revenue sheet. Mm-hmm. And you're asking the city to chip in $10,599,000 to help support. That's a little less than half of what the state aid is. So the state is really carrying a pretty substantial load of the school budget.
Yes, it's a good point, Claude. I've said for years, when the state wasn't meeting what they call the 55% obligation, that we ought to be at least cognizant of the fact that they certainly are in Waterville, because they've been sharing about 70% of our budget. It's been higher. We've been up as high as 73, 74% state revenue supporting our budget. So it's still very close to that. And yes, we do very well. But I think I said this last year, the state has a mechanism where they look at the number of children that need to be educated in their community, and they look at your total valuation. They divide the number of children into that total valuation and say, if you've got 100 million valuation and you've got 100 children, you got $1 million behind every kid. They'd consider you a very rich community if you had $1 million of valuation for every kid. And then they rank order you. You go right down. So if you've got 2 kids to educate and you're an island school where, you know, your valuation is who knows what, you get very little state subsidy. Now, people can argue, and they have argued over whether that's a good way to do it or not, but the funding formula has stood up over time as at least better than most. My issue several years ago, and thankfully Pam got me some help with this one, was we get Title I monies, which is designated as federal dollars to help support those children that need the extra support. It's based on your free and reduced lunch count. So what the state was doing at that time, we were getting close to $1 million. I think at that time we were getting about $950,000 in Title I monies to help support these children that needed the extra help. The state considered that excess and subtracted it from what their formula said you should get in the state portion of your budget. I argued that for years. You're supplanting what the federal government's trying to do, which is give us resources above and beyond what your obligation is. And Representative Pingree helped on that issue, and we got it changed. But I looked at that year that we had a $960,000 deduct from our state contributions. A place like Falmouth that year had $5,000 deduct. Huge difference between the value of Falmouth and the value that we run. And Falmouth wasn't the only place. There were a lot of other richer schools that had very little.
Another question?
So,
Oh, after she goes.
okay. I just wanted to say, yeah, we have had some good discussions with the City School Finance Committee this spring, and then that's been great. I think that, and we're all, I mean, we can all agree that raising teacher salaries is a very important thing to do. I still think it's hard in the way that this format is presented. You know, your budget is bigger than the city's budget. And we've got 2 pages as opposed to, I don't know, 85. So just some things that I would like to see that would help me understand where this school is, you know, needing resources, et cetera, would be some indication. You know, you have under the cost centers, you've got it by building, but I would just love to see, like, what is the amount that you dedicated to raising teacher salaries this year? If you have that number. I mean, okay, great. Okay.
Eric, you gotta go closer to the mic, please.
Oh, so Paula's already thought of this ahead of time. $708,046 for teacher increases,
Salaries only, that's not including the benefits.
and then it's $259 for $491 for ed techs.
That's salaries only, that's not including the benefits.
Do you know what those costs are?
I didn't get quite that far.
I mean, you can get back to us, but
Okay.
But there was about $1 million, of the 1.6 million, about $1 million of it is just within the teacher and the ed tech salaries.
Including the benefits?
No, that's
Okay.
not including the
Wow.
benefits.
All right.
So it'd been even higher when that was added to it, out of the 1.6, because the 1.6 includes all salaries and all benefits.
So the 1.6 is the increase for this year in salaries and benefits, salaries only,
Of the entire school district.
of the entire school district? Okay. All right. Okay, thank you. And, so then, plus benefits, okay. The other thing, I wondered if you could talk a little bit about, is the increase in the special services. And I, the first line under the expenses page, the cost centers. Just to give us a picture of what kinds of needs you're seeing in the school district.
Yeah, I can personalize that for you. That
Okay.
increase is almost solely due to SEL issues that we're facing. We
Okay.
have had, through the last 2 years of pandemic, an immense increase in unregulated students who need an immense amount of therapy, and that's almost all of that.
Okay.
Either that or it's for ed techs who will be able to, I'm trying to think of the right word to use here, but safely stop a student from hurting themselves or someone else.
Some of that also is increasing in special education out-of-district placement. For the kids that we can't provide all the
Right.
services,
Okay.
there's a pretty good increase on the out-of-district
Yeah, okay.
as well.
Can we give him an opportunity?
Mr. Poulin, can you hear us? Whoops, you're muted, sir.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
sir, go right ahead.
Awesome. Just a couple quick questions. Of the 60, he said 60 refugees could be coming in by school time. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay. How much of the increase in the budget is dedicated towards the refugees?
Well, if you look at just solely dedicated for them, it would be the one new teacher.
And what is the budget for that?
Where is the budget for that?
No, what does that
What-
position pay?
What is the amount? What's the amount?
ELL,
Yes.
it's a difference of 124,621, and that's a 76.68% increase.
Okay.
So roughly
Is there a,
125,000.
okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I cut you
No,
off.
you're good. It's roughly 125 grand.
Yeah, 124,621 is what you said, to be exact. Okay, is there, just real quick, is there a reason why all board members are not present tonight?
They are.
Flavia,
She's here.
where's Flavia?
Right to my
Where's- I
right.
don't see her, I'm sorry.
She's
I'm
to my
sorry.
right.
Everybody's there tonight? I'm sorry, okay, great. Okay, so 124,
Do we get a name on this
125,000 for that.
fellow?
How many refugees are in the state right now? Do we know?
No. But I want to remind you
Can I-
that we're talking about children. I know you want to keep calling them refugees, but these
Yeah.
are children
I just have
who
to say-
live in our community.
I just have to say, we're talking
hold
about
on.
English
One time.
language, we're talking about English language learners. We're not talking about any particular status,
Okay.
right?
So I'm just trying to, get everything straight here. So how do I get it? Okay, no, hold on. So the budget is just under $2 million. Half of it is covered. Yeah. Why are we settling for, one of you was just saying, why are we settling for second best teachers?
I don't think we are. That's why we
Yeah.
gave teachers a raise. I mean, that's
That's what somebody said.
that's-
I don't know
he
who
was
said it.
he was saying that
Hold on.
previous.
This is my
previ-
time. This is my time.
No, it's not.
This is my time.
Previous.
Okay.
We're gonna cut it. in a minute.
Oh, he's going to cut me off.
I will if you're going to continue to be rude. So
No, this is my time.
It is not your time.
If you want me to yield, are you asking me to yield my time to you, Mr. Mayor?
3 minutes, right? What are we at so far?
3 minutes, sir.
Well, you've been interrupting me. I don't know how much time you've taken away, at least like 30 seconds. So if you're asking me, you're interrupting my time, and if you're asking me to yield my time, I'm not yielding you any of my time. It's my time.
Let me take.
Thank you. Anyway, back to the meeting at hand. I can't gavel the internet. Anyone else? I'm not going to let anybody twist your words. We were talking about years ago how we used to have to settle for that third choice teacher, and the fact that we do not do that today. And I will not let anyone sit up there, resident or not even a resident, and disparage the work that we have done over the last few years. And it's appalling that we call them refugees. They are children that live in this community. That is vile language, and I will not tolerate it.
Can I change the subject just slightly? The one line you have for the Board of Education Central Office has a note that it includes bond payments. Where does the school stand in terms of its bonding? Are you? That's why I'm asking the question. I'm just asking.
We get a bond sheet. I've got one. So you can see for the 22-23 year, if you go to the bottom horizontal line in gray, that our debt service was $1,016,497. That's been paid. And so we're going now, we're talking about the 23-24 year, it's going down to $858,663. So a school system, and actually this is one of the things I'm most proud about, for a school system running the number of children that we do, and as large as we are, to have less than $1 million as debt service is exceptional.
Yes, and it looks to me that when we get to 2025, unless we do another school bond, your debt service will be down to $400,000.
Correct.
So does that mean that there may be a request for a bond for schools coming in the very near future?
At some point, yes. We have 2 phases at the high school that we need to finish in order to keep our accreditation. As a matter of fact, I was having this discussion with the high school principal late last week, because he's got to make a report to the accreditation committee in regards to when do we think we will start work on those last 2 phases. We had 5 phases originally to bring that high school up to snuff. We did 3 in 4 years. One of them was almost a 2-year project. And then the bottom kind of fell out of the economy. And we were asked by the city to put the phase 4 and phase 5 on hold for at least a year. That year has now evolved into 10. And we've had one accreditation committee review. In the meantime, we told them that we had to put it on hold because of the economy. They accepted it but didn't like it and said, by your next accreditation. So we're now on probation because we haven't done anything with 4 and 5.
Well, we're currently in the process of developing a long-range capital plan for the rest of the city. So I think this would be a good time to start the conversation with the schools so that we can get coordinated and see what we're going to need to do in terms of bonding for the entire city, not just for the city side or for the school side, but for the whole kit and caboodle.
I couldn't agree with you more, Claude.
Claude got a big checkbook.
I just like to borrow money. That's
Anybody else got questions for the school? All right. Thank you for that.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
We going into executive session now? Or do we have another?
The end.
Okay.
We're supposed to, we said we would go right into the meeting.
All right. Regular meeting. All right. Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Presentation, disclosure of conflict of interest. Oh, I forgot to read the thing. Good evening, everyone. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Waterville City Council. There are agendas available in the file pockets near the entrance or online on the City of Waterville's website. All items appearing on the consent agenda are voted on in one motion and vote. Generally, these items are routine in nature and do not require discussion. All items listed under unfinished business or new business are voted on separately. First, councilors will be given an opportunity for questions or comments. Once all councilors have had an opportunity to speak, citizens will be given an opportunity for comments or questions. Citizens must speak at the podium and identify themselves. Each citizen will be allowed one opportunity to speak and will be limited to 3 minutes. Finally, councilors will be given another opportunity to speak or comment. Citizens who would like to speak on a topic that does not appear on tonight's agenda will have an opportunity to do so at the beginning of the meeting. Now, disclosure of conflict of interest. Anybody? Nope. Food waste is Matt here.
We might have to skip ahead because
Do we pause for 10
they're
minutes?
probably here for,
Yeah, I was going to say, we
Here for
do have a
7,
couple of
right?
presentations on the agenda for the beginning, but, Matt is on his way, and
I'll second the 10-minute recess.
All right, 10-minute recess. Oh, first,
okay.
there was no first.
10-minute recess.
Second.
Okay.
All in favor? Because nobody's online.
Yes.
we are back. All set, Chad? Matt?
Hello. Oh, just get right in?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think everyone has a copy of the draft flyer for the bulky waste pickup. We're very happy to be reintroducing that this year. It's been the best that we can estimate 18 years since the city has done a bulky waste pickup. We expect the volume to be high, but it's hard to say. We'll be using several pieces of equipment, obviously. The full crew, aside from the mechanics and the trash pickup crew, will be on this project. We'll be using loaders, roll-off containers, skid steers, whatever we can round up so that we don't have to break the guys' backs. We're expecting it to go smoothly, hoping that there's not too much abuse. You know, the concern when towns do bulky waste pickups is folks from other towns coming in, hearing about it ahead of time. So we're hoping that we can limit that by unveiling it a little bit later. So it'll be the week of May 22nd to the 26th. Originally, we had planned on following the trash route because that's a nice systematic way of picking up the trash. But after having thought about it, not knowing, anticipating what the volume would be in certain districts on the route, we'd like all trash brought out curbside Monday the 22nd by 7 a.m. That will give us the ability to split our crews up and send them out roughly on the trash crews. Maybe we'll start with one crew on Friday's route and one crew on Monday's route, and then meet in the middle. We're really hoping to accomplish this in a week. It wouldn't be the end of the world if it spilled into the following week. I probably shouldn't have said that out loud, but we'll get everyone's bulky waste and all their items one way or the other. We've arranged two pretty good situations with both Casella's and Gregory's to dump at their facilities at a nice bulk rate. So that'll be handy depending on where we fill up. If we're closer to the north end of town, we'll head to Gregory's facility in Fairfield, and if we're in the middle part to the southern part of town, we'll head to Casella's. We estimate between 200 and 250 ton of debris, which is a lot, but it'll be interesting. We'll keep all the slips from both facilities, and we'll report back after the week to find out where we landed. For trailer parks, we'll be reaching out to property managers of each in hopes of finding a designated location so we don't have to drive all the way through the parks. And as it turns out, we reached out to the assessor today. It turns out that there's one owner for all of the trailer parks in Waterville. I didn't realize that. So we'll be sending them a form letter, hoping to meet with their people on the ground here in town. They're out of state. So this is a draft, folks. I'd like to get, before we finalize it, once it's finalized, we'll reach out to the Sentinel, and we'll also post online and on Facebook so that folks can be looking forward to it. And, probably if they're working evenings and weekends, getting things out curbside would be good to start sooner than later. So we feel it's pretty well in line with what we should be picking up. You'll see that we're not picking up air conditioners and refrigerators, anything with Freon. And we're also not picking up TVs, monitors, and printers. I'm not sure if folks are aware, but there's a great facility over on the industrial road, Give It, Get It. We met with those folks yesterday. They take all those electronic items for no charge. They have bins out front covered. I don't believe they like people dropping at night, but their hours, I believe they're open until 5 p.m. most days of the week. So they will take those electronic devices. Any questions? All right. Also,
Anybody from the public with questions? All right. And do we have Nicole yet?
Okay. I just wanted to thank you, Matt, for putting this together. I know it's something that we talked about a couple months ago, but a lot of people I think, will really benefit from this, and so I appreciate it. I know it's an additional item this year, but yeah, also hope it goes well. Is there anything you would recommend to people to help out with this in terms of some of the issues you mentioned about, obviously people from other towns, if you see someone dumping stuff on your driveway or whatever, I just worry a little bit too about all that trash being out for that period of time. But
Right.
your
I think
thoughts
that
on
when I speak to the Sentinel, I think that residents should and will appreciate this service. So if they're recognizing these illicit types of activities and behaviors going on, they should let us know, because it is something. I hope you all agree that it's something that we should do each year or every other year and get on track with a routine for doing that. It's very helpful. We have such a dense community, so spring cleaning will be really helpful for people. But I think that just due diligence and residents really keeping an eye on things so that the abuse is eliminated or reduced.
I think once a year, I think makes the most sense. I think that would help the community a lot, at least once a year.
Hopefully it's less than less every year.
Yeah, I think so. We haven't done it in 18 years.
We've been talking about it for years.
I got a garage full.
We've had a lot of conversations about this over the last couple of years.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see it get done. Thanks, Matt. Nicole Pitts. Oh, you're up.
Hi, we're from Waterville. We're from Thomas College down here in Waterville. We were working with the town on...
Can you get closer to the
Please
microphone?
move closer to the mic.
Sorry about that. We were working with the town of Waterville Parks and Rec Department on their compost solutions plan. I don't know how to switch the slide.
Just tell me when you want me to
Okay,
advance
can
the
we go
slides,
yeah.
okay?
Yep, can we go on to the next slide?
Can you bring your mic up just a little bit?
What was
Pick the
that?
mic up just a little bit.
There we go. Let's hope
There
this
you
is a universal height for all of us. All right, so this is a little bit of a background on our project. We're all Thomas College students from different years. The city of Waterville pays for garbage being brought to landfill by weight, and the cost of doing so puts a strain on the program. This program works in conjunction with the pay-as-you-throw trash bags to reduce the amount of material city residents send to the landfill. Our goal was to develop a plan that would increase resident participation in the free compost drop-off site located at iRecycle. Next slide. All right, and see, these are some of the numbers we collected. The single largest part of Maine's solid waste system consists of compostable material. 40% of food is thrown away, which is an insane number. The city saves $2 a month from each participating household, $24 per year. The average household generates 600 pounds of waste yearly. So this number is projected to increase as well. Next slide. This was the original program that was working in Waterville to pick up compost from people's houses. They offered a 2-month free trial working with the town and charged regular price of $15 per month plus a $5 initial bucket charge. Next slide. Unfortunately, this program was halted because this was outside of their normal pickup route, and it was more expensive for them to keep in production than it was making them money. This is iRecycle. They're the local recycling drop-off point, and they also have compost bins out front. And that is the free option for Waterville residents. Next slide. And this is just some photos from on-site. The compost bins are located right out front, as you see on the left there. And it's just, you can go in any time and drop off any compost that you have from your house. Next slide, please. You want to do this one?
All right, so the purple bags that are, wait, hold on. All right, these are the different subscription options available for scrap dogs who picked up the old garbage to garden route. They're offering a 1 month of free weekly pickup to anyone who's on the route. As you can see, these are all of the options. They run on a 4-week schedule, depending on individuals' needs. Next slide.
Next slide.
results from a questionnaire that we put out overwhelmingly showed that most residents were just simply unaware of the available programs, and that was the main problem with participation that we saw. Represents a learning curve in how people compost in town, and Craig had similar comments about this issue from his perspective at iRecycle on the ground. Next slide, please. Okay. The trash bag incentives where participants received some free Waterville bags would be a good start to advertising. The local farmers market would also be an excellent place to advertise and could also function as a second compost drop-off point for the free program, similar to what they do down at iRecycle. Another chance for advertising would be the Greater Taste of Waterville event, where Scrap Dogs could run or sponsor a booth to raise awareness and work with local high school students who are interested in composting and environmental issues. Another issue could be increasing our social media presence. Right now, people just aren't aware of the available programs. So if we could just get online, it could increase people's participation. The last option we have is the banner by the fire station intersection is often empty between advertisers. And during those times, it could be used to advertise a free compost drop-off site, either at iRecycle or if we're able to implement one down at the farmers market. Next slide, please.
All right, the purple bags required for residents to dispose of their garbage are expensive and widely disliked. Any incentive that involves reducing this cost for these bags would be popular. One way of doing this could be a punch card, which would be a system for returning customers, which would allow them to drop off at iRecycle, and it would allow them a free roll of bags once per month. Next slide, please.
All right, that's all we have on this for today. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions?
So are you trying to restart the pickup program?
No, right now, Scrap Dogs did take over the pickup program, so there is one currently running in Waterville. We're trying to advertise more for just increased participation in both programs. We're just trying to reduce the amount of compostable material that's going to landfill that could be otherwise disposed of.
Okay, thank you.
And your main incentive is being able to get free purple bags if you participate?
Yes, we believe that would be the most efficient, as it is the most complained about thing by the residents.
You said people can drop off compost at the iRecycle location. Where's that located?
It's located right in town by the Walmart, and the man who runs its name is Craig. He is trying to find a way to get information out to the city about how long he's composted, how good he is at it, and basically it's kind of to promote his business in a sense, but also because I do think Craig is a pretty green guy. He does genuinely care about compost. One of our incentives of this project was to look into see if drop-off compost and pick-up compost could be implemented in the city again, but because of our little breakup with Garbage to Garden, Scrap Dogs did pick up. But the problem with that is the cost increase for a lot of citizens. And I think composting, which is really where our project started, would be the easier solution in terms of paying by the pound. So there's a balance that we're trying to find, essentially.
Anybody else?
When Scrap Dogs gets running, we'll be adding a drop-off site at the Public Works compound, which I think will be useful and helpful for people. I think you guys did a great job, Nicole. I don't recognize your friends, but I remember working with you, and I appreciate all the help. So we'll have 2 drop sites, one on the Industrial Road, or I'm sorry, the Armory Road, and one at Public Works. And I do agree that marketing is a big part of this, and I think that's something that we can do better at, because I'm afraid a lot of people don't know. I anticipate that in the next few years, food waste will be much more popular, and we want to make it as easy as we can for folks now to try it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Anyone else?
Jay, we got a...
You want me at the mic?
Yes, please.
I think for everybody. My name's Bart Firmanek, Ward 6, but restaurants do a lot of food waste. I've worked in the kitchen before. It's ridiculous. It's going out by buckets. what's the incentive and encouragement for our local eateries?
Well, if they can recycle, they'll have less trash to dispose of. That'll save them money in the long run.
But it'd save a lot of money on the purple bags and things that they need to dispose of things. I'm not positive how that works in restaurants specifically, how they dispose of their waste, but I imagine it's much less expensive for them if they're able to dispose of it that way, especially if they use one of the free drop-off sites.
Well, the restaurant pays for its trash by the ton, the same way the city does. So if you can reduce your tonnage by using the compost system, so I would recommend that you talk to some of the restaurants and see how they can you can get them to participate in one of your programs.
Because they could save as much as 40%, right? I mean, by weight.
So, yeah, one of the benefits, thank you again, also, I think you came up with some great ideas. This program has been running for a while, and we do need to do better at marketing it. Not just because people could save money on trash disposal, but because of the environmental impact. And I may have missed it at the beginning. Did you have any statistics on that, the impact of food waste on the landfill? Because that's really striking.
We didn't have any specific statistics on that because we focused more on the economic side,
Okay.
because I knew it would be it'd be the best incentive for participants. I know that people tend to go with what's easiest. Even if it's something is more environmentally friendly, if it's not extremely easy for them, it's hard to start a new habit. So I went with more of the economic side.
Sure. Well, and I love the idea of giving purple bags to people who compost. I think that's great. Just one other question. Did you talk to Thomas College about what they do with their food waste?
Yeah, we talked to Thomas College very briefly about it. I do think they're a little hesitant themselves to start implementing compost, more importantly, like where. Our school doesn't even recycle cardboard right now, or as much as they should at least. So it's definitely a conversation that needs to start happening. It's more who do we need to talk to first than it is how do we get the ball rolling. But that's definitely something we want to look into, especially because one of our competing schools, I use the term competitive loosely, of course, but Colby, one of our neighbors, they compost and they recycle. So I do think there's definitely room for improvement there and a lot of room for growth in our school for composting as well.
Are our schools doing that?
It's a good question. I know they were.
Do you know, Matt, if our
initially?
school separates the food?
I don't. Yeah.
You do? Oh.
Yeah.
So having worked in the Thomas Kitchens for 4 years, all the food waste from the cafeteria gets put into a food disposal when we scrape off the dishes.
Garbage disposal?
Yes.
That's at Thomas? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, please.
Gotta go up.
My previous employer, Waterville Senior High School, we actually did work with the green team, and they have about 80 participants at the high school, very robust program. But they, I think about 3 years ago, did implement a food recycling program that they run and they staff for each section of lunch, and educated everybody, and they do a great job. It's a messy job, but they really do it. They do it well with what can go to a landfill and what actually goes into the trash. And they have, I don't know, 3 to 5 students during any lunch period that students come up. They say that needs to go here, this needs to go there. So the green team, which one of the major issues was, these folks aren't here year-round. So talking to Susanna Lee up at UMaine, the George Mitchell Institute for Sustainability, she was very concerned about who is here year-round that can do some of these things. And these students found a few different players, but the green team sort of does this all the time, and some of the social media pieces I feel like they could handle, but they do a great job, and yes, they, from the ground up, implemented their own food recycling program at Waterville High School.
Thank you. Nice to see you stayed local. Any other questions? Go ahead, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Tony Green. If you guys are looking for more information for your college to do composting, I went to Unity College and they do composting, recycling as well, and they actually have the students scrape their food waste into bins already ready to go to the composting facility. So if you could connect with them, they're a great resource for all that. Thanks.
Thank you. That works. Anyone else? All right.
Thank you all very much. You did a great job.
City manager report.
Thank you, Mayor. There's some things on the written report that I'd like to share with the meeting here. First and foremost, I'm happy to announce that the city is partnering with KV-CAP and/or its developer on a new affordable housing complex that will be constructed in the south end. At 52 King Street is the proposed location. The city, I wrote a letter of intent to the CDBG program for affordable housing probably a couple of months ago, and then we were notified or invited to apply for the grant. So that was certainly good news to hear. So I'll be working with KV-CAP and their developer as we work on the grant application to help them gain funding for this project. Certainly is needed, and we are trying to do what we can do when it comes to affordable housing. But that was a pleasant development. I also wanted to say that I've been working with Public Works and the engineers on some of our crumbling sidewalks that we've had issues with recently, particularly Main Street and Pleasant Street. And pleased to say that we've developed a plan to repair the Main Street, the northern Main Street, upper Main Street sidewalks. That'll be happening. And then we're looking at Pleasant Street as well to see if we have any funding available to be able to do that. They're not going to be rebuilt per se, but the pavement will be removed. Those are asphalt sidewalks. They're not concrete sidewalks. The pavement will be removed, leveled out, compacted, and then new asphalt will be placed. So that will be happening. I don't have a time frame yet. This has been a fast-moving target, and I appreciate Matt's help and the engineers' help on this topic as well. I think it's an important issue and one that's been ignored, and I'm glad that Public Works could help with that. Really appreciate that. I let councilors know previously about the public safety answering point, the PSAP, the 911 center. Legislation was finally printed last week out of the revisor's office. It is LD 1828. I appreciate the comments I've received back from councils about, you'll testify if you can. It hasn't been scheduled yet, and it will be a last minute thing, I'm sure. And if you haven't been to the legislature, it's a fun process where you can sit there for hours and hours while you wait for your bill to come up, and then you have 3 minutes to speak. So oftentimes submitting written testimony is just as beneficial for your time. So I certainly will let you know, and I'll give you some talking points on that. I will certainly say that the Public Utilities Commission, the Public Safety Commissioner's Office is already working forward, assuming that legislation will pass. They've already looked at the police department's physical location and actually having equipment delivered. So they're very expecting this legislation to pass. But we also want to make sure that we can hit the ground as quickly as we can when it does pass and July 1st comes along. But I wanted to bring that up as well. I'm also really happy to say that the interim police chief, Bill Bonney, has been working with the Police Assisted Addiction and Recovery Initiative for years, actually. And they're basically PARI, as they're called, supports public safety agencies in their efforts to create and expand non-arrest programs for individuals with substance use disorders. Recently, their board met and selected this year's winners of their annual leadership awards. and interim Chief Bonney was selected to receive a leadership award from the organization. So he's been invited to go to Boston in June to receive that award. So it's a huge award for us and for Chief Bonney to recognize his work over the years. Last thing that I'd like to mention is that the next meeting of the council was scheduled for May 16th. Please keep in mind that was agreed to move to May 23rd. I will be away on vacation. However, Finance Director Christina Tarian will be here at the meeting, as will Clerk Patty as well.
Excuse me, are you announcing that the meeting for the 16th is actually going to be now on the 23rd?
Yes.
Okay, just wanted to make sure that everybody understands
Yes.
that we've moved the meeting.
Yes, it is now the 23rd.
Any questions for Bill? Council committees. No? All right. Public comments. Sir, you have to wait a second.
Anna Holdener, Ward 7. I'm with the South End Neighborhood Association. We've got a couple of things. The first thing is we had our spring cleanup. It's the first installment of our semi-annual cleanups within the South End. And I just want to give a big thank you to the two Colby sports teams that we had volunteers from, which was field hockey and soccer. And then to a company called Dump Guys, and then a number of just folks who came out to help clean up in the South End. It was really a great day. We finished very quickly, actually, and it was a huge success. We were able to really target the Lehman Island Trail down by the Hathaway. So then the next thing is we are working on our bike events. So for the next 2 weeks, we'll be working in the park on Saturday to fix up some bikes. Our bike repair is May 20th. South End youth are invited to come between 10 and 11:30 with a parent or guardian to be able to get a bike. And then we will open it up to the general public from 11:30 to 12. We do have a lot of children's bikes, so if you know a kiddo, come on out. That will also be at Green Street Park in the South End. And then the final date is August 1st. The South End Neighborhood Association, we're going to be holding our annual South End National Night Out Festival. So hopefully getting it back to the size that it was pre-COVID, which was a lot of people. So just save the date. We'll be rolling out details on our Facebook page as things get scheduled. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead, sir.
Hello again, Council. I am Jacob Varnoy. I am with the Strong Towns movement. I just wanted to let the council know, as well as the public, that we are going to be holding essentially a meet and greet at the Silver Street Tavern this Saturday, May 6th at 2 p.m. And I wanted to invite Councilors Gilly, Frankie, and Flavia to that. I also wanted to invite Ann Beveridge, the city planner. I would like to invite Councilor Green, but that would make 4, which is a quorum, so I can't. Sorry.
Didn't make the cut.
Didn't make the cut.
It was literally, I literally just flipped a coin. I'm sorry. Anyway, that's it. Thank you.
I think I skipped over Councilor comments. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a brief comment about brown-tailed moth. I know that brown-tailed moth is something that a number of people in the community are concerned about right now. They're emerging from their winter nests, and there will be a link to a survey if people want to help the city track brown-tailed moth in the community. It's not up now, but it will be hopefully by tomorrow. That's on me. There's also an email, if you want to get on an email list for updates on how the brown-tail moth infestation and treatment plans are progressing in the city. That email is btm_updates at waterville-me.gov. Just that.
Thank you, Councilor Kalipak. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Scott Bowden, and I live in Ward 7 on the south end. And first, I want to say thank you to the council and our elected officials for working as hard as they have with the school budget this year. As a taxpayer and a teacher, I really do appreciate them being willing to make concessions monetarily to improve our students' opportunities. I would like to ask the council for some advice and for some assistance. Have been interested in running for the school board for the past 2.5 years. I've reached out to several individuals, the mayor and the council members, and have heard nothing back about how prospectively I could do that. So any advice or assistance I could get within the next couple of weeks, as I know those elections are coming up soon, I would really be appreciative of it. Thank you.
You live in Ward 7?
I do.
That seat's not up, is it?
I don't believe Ward 7 seat is up this year, but.
So that's Pam Trinward at the moment.
But if I may, Mr. Bowden? Yes. The city clerk's office is very familiar with the city charter that regulates all of city elections. So certainly reach out anytime, and I'm happy to walk you through the process of running for any seat, whether it's school board or whatever, or mayor.
Come get it. It's open. It's open at the end of the year. Come get it.
Oh, there it is. That was good.
Anyone else? All right. Moving on to consent agenda.
Move
to adopt.
Second.
All in favor?
Everyone's here. We don't need a roll call.
Nope. All in favor.
All in favor. The vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed. Is there a motion to read items by title only?
Yes, there is.
Second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
So much easier.
7-0.
Can y'all come for the rest of the year?
Let's see, ordinance 75-2023, amend chapter 180 marijuana facilities ordinance to add extraction facilities.
Move to adopt.
Second.
This is the second reading. The council had approved the first reading at your last meeting.
Any discussion? Patty, can I go? Oh, all in favor?
All in favor. Anyone opposed? Vote is 6 in favor and 1 opposed.
Ordinance 77, 2023.
Amend the zoning ordinance 20 and 30 Airport Road.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion?
This again is the second reading of this ordinance as well.
All in favor?
Ordinances do require a roll call vote
roll
for the
call,
second
done
vote.
deal.
My
We were trying to
apologies.
get through it.
Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Morris?
Yes, that's fine.
Counselor Frankie?
These are for the solar panels at the automobile dealer, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
The vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed.
Ordinance 78, 2023.
Amend the zoning ordinance 2 CV Street.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? Patty, can I
All
get a roll
set?
call?
Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Morris?
Yes.
Counselor Frankie?
Yes.
Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
The vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed.
Moving on to ordinance 79, 2023.
Approve T-hanger lease for Lot 18.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any
So-
discussion?
Yes, I would like, this is an item that was tabled at the last meeting, and I suggest that the council table this. I have until May 23rd, but it really probably needs to be longer than that because of my time out of the office for us to work on a solution here. I've met with the airport manager, but we need to have further discussions around this topic. So,
Move to table until the first meeting in June.
Second.
Thank you.
Patty, can I get a roll call?
We can just do a show of hands because this isn't the second and final reading. All in favor of postponing? So the vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed.
Go ahead.
I have just a question about, or a comment, I guess, about this this item, because at our last meeting we discussed holding a TIF committee before we voted. So this gives us lots of time, but I just wanted to make sure that we are able to schedule one so that we can vote, take the final vote on the first meeting in June.
So we had some discussions internally about the fact that this property where this construction may take place is not currently in the airport TIF district.
Okay.
So that complicated matters a little bit, but there's also other ways we think that we can handle this. I've been in contact with the city's attorney, and so we've got some ideas that are percolating that we can probably do something with. I think at some point we definitely do need to get the TIF committee together to look at the airport, creating potentially another TIF district there, and not necessarily amending the one that we have currently, maybe creating a second one. But there's more discussion, I think, that has to happen around that, basically looking at what types of development are we going to have there, what's the value of that, that type of thing, before we can have those discussions.
Okay. Thank you.
Moving on to Order 80-2023.
Approve hangar lease for Lot 6.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion?
And this one's just a straight up, there's no, nothing fancy about it, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Once we approve these, are we going to look at our lease rates? I mean, I thought that these were pretty low to begin with, but we had already had some agreements. But I just want to make sure that going forward, because we're approving like 1, 2, 3 of them, or 2 of them at this point, but a third one's going to come ahead, and they're all at that same sort of rate. How many more are we going to have?
Well, I'll answer your first question. Are we going to look at it? We have, and extensively. And we are at market value, which is required by the FAA. Our compliance inspection that we had in November, we passed with that. So we are at market value for lease rates for federally obligated property, and consistent. And the second question, I'm sorry, what was it again?
Are we looking to raise our rates for the next leases?
No. No, the rates are consistent with market for all of our neighboring airports and throughout New England, actually.
And keep in mind, too, that we're just leasing the land that the hangars sit on. So when we also get property taxes from the construction of the hangars. So I think that's one thing that's different here than in some other airports where those airports would construct the hangars and then lease the whole unit, but then be responsible for all of the repairs, insurance, et cetera, on those buildings.
I'll add, too, that the lease of the hangars is a drop in the bucket compared to all of the other auxiliary benefits to having additional based aircraft at the airport, not to mention the fuel sales. So our federal grants are based off of operations, and operations, whether it's a takeoff or a landing, that adds up over the course of a year, and that's how we get our federal grants. So the more operations and more based aircraft that we can attract and keep, that increases our likelihood of being awarded bigger and better grants.
So have we abandoned the idea of building our own? Like we're just going to lease land?
Not entirely. Short term, though, I think the investment that we need to make as a city is in the infrastructure that will support the hangars and allow private enterprise and private individuals to construct the hangars at their cost. I think personally, it's a better use of taxpayer dollar.
Done deal. Thank you.
And is the primary benefit to airport operations not necessarily from leasing the space for a hangar, but rather the activity that's becomes associated with the hangar, that is the takeoffs and landings?
Absolutely.
So that's what you're really looking for, is to have planes come in and out, buy fuel, and pay the other assorted fees that go with that.
Correct.
Any other questions? Patty?
Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Morris?
Yes.
Counselor Frankie?
Yes.
Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
The vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed.
Moving on to Order 81, 2023.
Approve hangar lease for Lot 15.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? Patty?
Counselor Gilly?
Yes.
Counselor DeBrito?
Yes.
Counselor Klepak?
Yes.
Counselor Green?
Yes.
Counselor Morris?
Yes.
Counselor Frankie?
Yes.
Counselor McCormick?
Yes.
The vote is 7 in favor and 0 opposed.
Moving on to new business. Resolution 85, 2023.
Approve bid award to United Aid Ag and Turf for airport mowing equipment.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes, so this resolution will authorize the purchase of a tractor and mowing equipment for the airport with funding from the airport solar reserve account. Currently, the solar reserve account has approximately $180,000 in it, with another $250,000 payment that will be coming pretty soon. The bidding for this item was accomplished through Sourcewell, and Sourcewell is a company, I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but it basically provides procurement services for state, local governments, colleges, schools, and they do all of the proposals, the public notice and advertisements, the contracts, and award the bid basically to the lowest, most responsive bidder. It's a very easy tool for the city to use, especially with a purchase such as this. And there was additional information in your materials, and certainly Randy can answer any questions or provide more information as well.
Anyone? Councilor Frankie?
Well, I have a concern because this has not come before the Finance Committee. We are in the process of doing next year's budget where we're looking at a capital plan. This looks like a capital investment, and I'm wondering why we're jumping the gun on this without having some discussion beforehand.
And as I've said before with the capital plan, you know, we were starting it and we were going very strong with it last fall before the previous manager had left. So there are some things that certainly fell through the cracks when it came to capital items such as this. There are others as well. It's not a comprehensive capital plan. It was one that was our best picture at a certain point in time.
Councilor Gillian? Oh. Councilor Chairwoman Green.
How much, because you might have, and I might have missed it, but how much will the tractor and other how much will that overall cost?
About $125,000.
$125,000? And there's $182,000 in that reserve account?
Yeah, the actual cost is $125,866.37. We have $180,000 roughly in the capital account with another $250,000 coming.
And how is the grass being mowed at the airport today?
So you may recall about 2 years ago we came and we did purchase new mowing equipment for the airport. And I will admit, I anticipated that the new tractor and bush hog that we purchased would adequately mow all of the areas. And what we found was that it wasn't sufficient in a lot of the safety areas of the airport and our infields, as it either scalped the pavement or it created what's called FOD, or foreign objects. It would throw things onto the pavement. So we went back to John Deere. We asked them, what we could do. We talked to them quite a bit. We have a good relationship with them. And we looked at a finished mowing deck. So we had continued to use the Case tractor that we had been borrowing from Public Works, the same tractor that PD uses in the wintertime for snow removal and that PW uses for street cleanup and roadside mowing. The mowing deck that we had was a much smaller mowing deck and cost a lot of money to keep maintained, but we had to continue to use it over the last 2 summers to maintain the infields and the safety areas around the lights. So looking at that, we identified the need for a finish mower, and we identified also some efficiencies that we can improve where we still have 6.5 miles of fencing to repair and all the lights. So in an effort to decrease the amount of time it takes us to mow the airport by putting this tractor into service in addition to our other tractor, we will be able to mow it in about half the time, and that will allow us and afford us the time to be able to remove the trees and spray and do all the other tasks that we are doing it, in addition to our FBO duties, which have significantly increased over the last few years.
And about how long does it take to do one mow of the airport?
About 10 days.
10 days.
So as soon as you finish, you're starting again.
Will it be any quicker with this tractor?
What's that?
Will it be any quicker with the tractor?
Yes. So we're we hope to cut it in half.
So like 5 days?
To 5 days, so that we can spend. So we can spend some time actually. I don't know if you've seen the fence line specifically along the Webb Road or KMD or from Dairy Queen or whatever, but there's a lot of work to be done.
And are there other places in the city that need mowing that this equipment could be used for?
In fact, we bring the bush hog and the tractor that we have now over to the landfill and mow that at least twice a year for Matt. And we've also gone up and done the quarry road with our tractor. And we'll continue to do so as requested.
So you'll be able to use this equipment at other places in town?
Yeah.
Patty?
Hello.
All in favor?
This is a resolution, so it only requires a show of hands. All in favor of Resolution 85? All opposed?
I'm going to vote opposed just because I object to the procedural context here.
Fair enough. Moving on to Resolution 86, 2023.
Approve contract with McFarland Johnson Incorporated and submit FAA grant application.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Information, please.
So this is part of the process that we have to follow when we're doing a grant. Every year, the airport is given what's called entitlement funding of about $150,000 a year. And what's new is what's the BIL funding, and that came out 2 years ago. We didn't have a plan in place. We weren't prepared with the ongoing of our taxiway project and development of our master plan to move forward. So we rolled last year's BIL funding, and then this year's BIL funding is going to be coming out. So this process will allow us to hire our already hired consultant engineering firm, and will give us the authority to sign a contract with them to design and bid the project that will go under the BIL funding. And once we are awarded the grant, we will come back to council for acceptance of the award and a notice to proceed for a contractor.
What does BIL stand for?
It's the bipartisan infrastructure legislation, I believe is the term. So it's part of what came out of COVID.
Ah, okay. But this is federal money we're talking about.
This is federal money. Yeah, so This is another project that follows suit to the typical AIP, the Airport Improvement Program funding, where 90% of it's federally funded, 5% of it's state funded, and then 5% of it's locally funded. And the 5% would have come out of our airport solar reserve. Any questions?
Any from the public? Patty? All in favor?
All in favor? 7 in favor and 0 opposed.
Last order of business, moving on to Resolution 87, 2023.
Appointing members to the Housing Committee.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Any discussion? All right. Can we get the
How
names?
big is the housing committee getting?
There's a maximum of 10, and we're at our maximum.
All right.
Yep.
With these appointments?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else? All in favor?
Would you read the names?
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
The appointment of Jamie Pelkey and Scott Beal as members representing advocates for low-income housing.
Yeah, go Scott.
Right, and Scott Beal is a member of he's in the category of essential personnel, I think it's called, but
Yes.
it's basically, teachers. He's an engineer. I mean, people who have knowledge about things related to housing, and he has basically very similar qualifications to the person who resigned recently, Bob Hussey. And then of course Jamie Pelkey is also a co-chair of the Waterville Tenants Association.
Scott's great.
All right. All in favor?
7 in favor, 0 opposed.
And can I get a motion to go into executive session?
Motion.
Okay.
Patty's got something.
That would be pursuant to 1 MRSA 4056C, acquisition of real property, and also 1 MRSA 4056A, personnel matter.
Got it.
Yep.
So there's a motion.
We are not coming
and a
back.
second.
Or we come back just to end the meeting, like,
Thanks.
Yeah, I don't anticipate any action after the executive session.
okay.
Correct. So after the executive session, the council will reconvene and adjourn, but no additional votes or discussion will take place.
All right.